Hey, welcome back to Postal Barbecue. I'm Jabin Postal, and today at the grill, I'm gonna be cooking up some delicious smoked pork tenderloin sliders that are absolutely delicious. They're sweet, they're spicy, they're all things delicious, and you're gonna love them for sure. Now, other than that, let's get into the cook. As I said, welcome back to Postal Barbecue. I appreciate you being here. Today at the grill, I'm gonna be cooking up some delicious smoked pork tenderloin sliders using those famous King's Hawaiian slider buns. And this recipe is absolutely delicious. And there's not much to do to prepare this recipe. All you're gonna need really is some pork tenderloin, your King's Hawaiian buns, and then your favorite toppings. I have some provolone cheese, some red onion, and some pepperoncinis. And this is gonna be an absolutely delicious sandwich. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I need to prepare the pork tenderloin. This is about a pound and a half each pork tenderloin, and don't be confused with pork tenderloin and pork loin. They're completely different cuts, and the only thing I'm really going to do is trim up a little bit of the silver skin. You know, oftentimes when I'm cooking just for the family, I don't trim that off, and you know, I don't really notice a huge difference from when I leave it on and take it off, but for the purposes of this video, I am going to take it off just to show you how that's done. And so you'll notice that there's that silver skin right here, so I'm just going to take my sharp knife, gonna just slice underneath it. We'll just remove that. Also gonna trim up any of the excess fat that I don't really need. There we go, that looks pretty good to me. You'll notice that the second one I trimmed is a little bit thinner, so when it comes time to cooking it, I will just be pressing it together so it has a similar thickness to the larger pork tenderloin. Okay, so to season the pork tenderloins today, what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna be adding a little bit of hot sauce for the binder. And I really want some of that spice to shine through with this recipe. So I'm gonna, like I said, use some hot sauce as a binder. And I'm gonna make sure I liberally coat that pork tenderloin with that hot sauce. And go ahead and use your favorite hot sauce because end of the day, this is yours. Use what you like. There we go, that looks pretty good. So to season these pork tenderloins today, I'm gonna be using my Postal Barbecue Original Rub because I want that bit of sweetness to sort of offset and balance the spice that we're gonna be using, because we're gonna have a lot of spice from the binder to the pepperoncinis to the spicy mayo that I made for later on. And so the sweetness is gonna really just complement this dish entirely. But go ahead and use your favorite barbecue rub. You don't have to use this one. This one just goes really well with this sort of recipe. This other one. That looks pretty good to me. I did go a little bit heavier than I might normally would for a typical pork tenderloin because I am going to be slicing it really thin for the sandwiches. And so before I get it onto the grill, the only thing left to do is to get my meter thermometer into the pork tenderloin so I can monitor the temperature as it cooks. And this is important because you do not want to overcook pork tenderloin because there's not a lot of fat in there and it will dry out a little bit more than other cuts. So I'm just going to get that right into the middle. Grab my second one. There we go. And so to set up the grill today, I did go ahead already and fill up the Sloan sear basket about 3/4 of the way full with some lump charcoal. I then got out my grill blazer so I can get those coals fully hot in the corner of the Sloan sear so I have a cooking temperature of around 275 degrees. And with my grill all set up and ready to go, let's get these pork tenderloins onto the grill opposite the coals. We're gonna get this first one on. And then, like I said, the second one I'm gonna kind of compress together when I place this on. And then the last thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab a little bit of hickory wood for some added smoky flavor. I'm gonna get those directly over the coals. There we go. Then I'm going to close up this lid and I'm going to begin cooking this, like I said, around 275 degrees until it reaches the internal temperature of around 140 because after that it's going to carry over to about 145 degrees, which is the perfect temperature for pork tenderloin. All right, my pork tenderloin has been cooking for about 30 minutes now, and I want to start to build the layers of flavor on the outside. And this comes from sort of a sauce or a glaze, whatever you want to call it, but it's a little bit more sweet, a little bit of spice, and this is just, again, to help balance out the flavor. And so what I have is about 1/3 cup of maple syrup. I'm going to put that in my dish. I have about 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. And then the last thing is I'm gonna add in some hot sauce again. And this is the same hot sauce that I used as my binder. Just gonna mix this together quickly. All right, I'm gonna give it a quick taste. Whew. There it is. You know, right away you get that spiciness from the hot sauce, and then it's really paired and balanced nicely with the apple cider vinegar and that maple syrup. So let's get it on to the pork tenderloin. I'm gonna sort of sauce it right now, as well as it gets closer to the end, again, just to build those layer of flavors. Just take a look at the pork tenderloin. Guys, just take a look at this already. Right off the bat, the pork tenderloin is still cooking. The rub on the outside is still a little bit soft. That's okay. So let's just get this onto the outside. There we go, we'll get that lid closed back up quickly. And like I said earlier, I'm cooking this to 140 degrees. I will come back right when it reaches 140 to brush it again with this spicy maple glaze, just for that extra flavor. And then I'm gonna pull it off the grill because I really want it to rest. I want it to cool a little bit down so I can slice it into some really thin slices for our sandwich. So we'll come back when it reaches 140 degrees. All right, my meter thermometer just notified me that the pork tenderloin is sitting around 140 degrees. This is exactly where I want it. I'm gonna open up the grill. I'm gonna give it one last glaze before I pull it off the grill, because like I said, I want it to rest. I want it to even cool down a little bit so I can make some nice thin slices. All right, guys, just look at that. You can see that the outside has tacked up nicely. You know, when I do touch it with my fingers, you can really feel that stickiness from the maple glaze. And so let's get this glazed again, because like I said, this is gonna add a lot of extra flavor to these sliders. I'm gonna grab these and just take them off the grill. I'm gonna place them right there. All right, these are just gonna sit out in front of me until I get everything else prepared. I need to cut the buns, I need to slice some onions and the pepperoncinis, as well as melt the butter. And so that's what I'm gonna do first. I'm gonna get the cast iron onto the fire, and then I'm gonna place in about a half a stick of butter onto that, as well as I do have 1 clove of garlic that I did mince down and crush down really finely. I'm just gonna place that in as well. All right, there we go. I'm gonna get this off the grill, as well as I'm gonna close up that lid again so that our temperatures don't go crazy hot and out of control, because there's still a little bit more time before we get the sliders back onto the grill. So to get to the next step, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna take my King's Hawaiian slider buns and I'm gonna slice them right in half. And so just take your time with this. Just be careful at the end. There you go. You'll see that now we have a little bit of a lid for our sliders. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pepperoncinis and I'm going to slice those up into just some thin slices. Remove the tops. And then I'm going to take my red onion. I'm going to slice it down in half. And I only need a little bit of this. And then I'm going to slice these super thin. There we go. That should do it. All right, now with everything prepared and smelling absolutely incredible, it's time for the fun part. It's the building of our sliders. So I'm just gonna move this off to the side. I'm gonna grab that top section. Just gonna move it off to the side, and we're gonna start by placing some provolone cheese onto the bottom layer of our slider buns. And go ahead and use your favorite cheese. This one is really nice because it melts great. And then to that, I'm gonna grab one of my pork tenderloins. Just gonna get this off here and pull the meter probe. And then, like I said earlier, I'm gonna be slicing this as thin as I can. Guys, just look at that. It's absolutely incredible. And again, it doesn't have to be pretty, it just has to be thin. And like I said, I'm gonna be placing all of this onto the bottom layer. Just gonna sprinkle it all over top. Just kind of get it all on there even. There we go. Then I'm gonna go back to the cheese. I'm gonna layer this up again. And then this is where all of these veggies come in. I'm gonna place on the red onions first, as well as our pepperoncinis. Gonna hit it with that barbecue rub. And then the last thing I'm gonna put on is some spicy mayo. And so what I have here is about 3 tablespoons of mayo, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and some hot sauce to taste. And this is a really great sauce for this sandwich. Just gonna drizzle this all on top. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna grab our top bun. I'm gonna place that on. Just gonna press it down just a little bit. And then just before it goes on the grill, I'm gonna take some of this garlic butter that we made. I'm just gonna brush that onto the top. This is gonna add a lot of extra flavor. And we're gonna carefully just pick this up. If you want to put it on a tray, go for it. I'm just gonna place it directly onto the grill grate. Then I'm gonna close up the grill again, and I'm gonna continue to let it cook for probably another 20 minutes or so until the tops of the buns get a little bit more brown, a little bit crispy even. And then at that point, I'm gonna pull it off the grill and we'll get ready for the taste test. All right, guys, I did continue to cook these sliders on the kettle grill for about 20 minutes so that the tops could get nice and firm and add a little bit of extra color, as well as to melt the cheese. That's an important thing with this recipe. And you know, the only thing left to do is to slice the sliders into individual pieces, just following the grooves. Go. All right, you're gonna grab this guy right here and just take a look at how juicy this is still. The bottom is nice and firm, as well as the top. And this is exactly what we're looking for. So let's go in for the taste test and just see how they are. Yep. Oh my goodness, this is incredible. Woo. Guys, these are so good. You can really pick up the smokiness from the pork tenderloin, but then that spice hits you really nicely with the pepperoncinis and all the different spice elements that we put into these sliders. I'm telling you, if you've never tried sliders like this before, you need to give them a try, because they're a lot of fun to cook this way versus your more traditional individual slider buns and then building one at a time. You can do a whole sheet of sliders super fast, super easy, super budget friendly even, and then just slice them up and everyone gets to enjoy them. These spicy pork tenderloin sliders, however, are absolutely delicious. You're gonna love them for sure, so I hope you give them a try. Let's get some of that sauce back on there. That's delicious. These smoked pork tenderloin sliders are juicy, flavorful, they're absolutely delicious, and I know you're gonna love them for sure. So until next time, keep that fire lit and get cooking.